I love the occult and all things spooky, so I wasn't scared of much. That is until my trip to hell. When I was 24 years old, I worked for an international chain of gentlemen's clubs as an exotic dancer. At this point in my life, I had seen it all, from gangsters with connections to the Russian mob, to middle-aged men who looked like they got lost on their way to a Mötley Crüe concert. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened at the club one night when I met Lucifer. It was a Tuesday night, which meant half-priced bottles of champagne. On nights like these, we would serve more bottles than on any other night of the week. The dance floor was packed and it was hard to move. It didn't matter. We loved those nights because the tips were insane. As I was busting a move near the bar, I saw a new face enter the club. He was tall and handsome, dressed in a black suit that looked custom-tailored. He had dark hair and eyes like hot coals. I couldn't help but stare at him for a moment. As he walked past me, our eyes met, and I felt a jolt run through me. I quickly looked away, embarrassed that he had caught me staring. I tried to shake off the strange feeling, but it wouldn't go away. I continued dancing, hoping to get over it. But every time I looked towards him, the feeling grew stronger. Curious, I decided to walk over to him and say hello. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. He turned to me, his expression unreadable. "Hey there," he replied in a voice like velvet. I couldn't help but smile. He was even more handsome up close. We talked for a while and I learned that his name was Lucifer. He was in town on business and was staying at the Grand Blackwood Hotel. We exchanged numbers before he left, and I couldn't stop thinking about him the rest of the night. The next day I went to the hotel to see if he was staying there. I found him sitting in the lobby and we talked for hours. He was charming and mysterious, and I couldn't help but feel drawn to him. He told me that he was a tour guide and that he specialized in showing people around the city. I asked him if he could show me around hell, and he smiled. "Of course," he said. Before I knew it, I was in the back of his limo, riding towards the gates of hell. As we approached the entrance to hell, I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. The air grew colder, and the sky darkened, but Lucifer seemed unfazed. "Don't worry," he said, reading my mind. "It's just a little cooler on this side of the river." As we passed through the gates, the scenery changed dramatically. We entered a vast cavern filled with fire and brimstone. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur, and the ground trembled beneath our feet. Lucifer gestured to the towering flames in the distance. "Welcome to hell," he said. "Your tour guide is me." I took a deep breath and tried to calm my racing heart. This was not how I had imagined hell to look. I had expected rivers of lava and demons with pitchforks, not this vast, cavernous space. Lucifer began pointing out the highlights of hell, or rather the lowlights. First, we stopped at the River Styx, where Lucifer explained that the souls of the unworthy were sent after death. He said that the river was guarded by Cerberus, a three-headed dog whose hunger for souls was never satiated. We then made our way to the nearby stone pillars, where the damned were chained up for eternity. Some of the prisoners were screaming in agony, while others sat in silence, their eyes vacant. Lucifer told me that these were the worst cases of human sin, those who had committed crimes against humanity and were now paying the price. He led me deeper into hell, and the sights that I saw were truly horrifying. I saw people being tortured in ways that I couldn't even imagine. Some were burned alive, while others were flayed alive. There were also creatures that I couldn't identify, some with multiple eyes and mouths, others with skinless bodies. As we continued our tour, I noticed that some of the prisoners recognized me and shouted my name. At first, I couldn't understand what they were saying, but as we got closer, I realized that they were begging me for help. They were pleading with me to do something to ease their pain. Their screams echoed throughout hell, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of guilt. Why did they call me? Why were they begging for me to save them? I turned to Lucifer, desperate for an explanation. "Why are they calling me?" I asked, my voice trembling. Lucifer looked at me, his expression unreadable. "They know you," he said softly. "Or rather, they think they do." As he spoke, the prisoners became more agitated, their voices growing louder. They started to thrash around, their chains dragging metal moans across the caverns. One of the prisoners, a man who looked like he had once been a priest, broke free of his chains and lunged towards me. I screamed and stumbled back, but Lucifer was quick to react. He grabbed the man's arm and pulled him back. "Easy," he said calmly. "She doesn't want to hurt you." But the prisoner struggled against Lucifer's grip. "You lied to me," he shouted. "You promised me that she would save me." Lucifer shook his head. "I never promised you anything," he said. "I'm sorry, but she can't help you." The prisoner's eyes flashed with anger. "You betrayed me," he hissed. With a sudden movement, the prisoner bit down on Lucifer's arm, drawing blood. Lucifer hissed in pain and stumbled back. The other prisoners started to stir, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. I was terrified, but I knew that I had to do something. I rushed forward and slapped the prisoner across the face. "Shut up!" I shouted. "You don't know me." The prisoner stared at me, his expression confused. "What?" he said. "But you're here to save me." "No," I said, my voice shaking. "I'm not." Lucifer took advantage of the distraction and quickly bound the prisoner's hands behind his back. "Come on," he said, "let's go." I followed him as he led me away from the prisoners. I could hear their screams and shouts echoing behind me, but I didn't dare look back. We walked in silence for a while, and I couldn't help but feel uneasy. Finally, Lucifer spoke. "Thank you for listening to me," he said. "Most people don't listen when I tell them what I tell them." "Why did you tell me?" I asked. "What was the point?" He turned to me, his eyes blazing. "Because I wanted you to see what lies beneath the surface," he said. "I wanted you to see the truth." "But why?" "Because I wanted you to change," he said. "I wanted you to be better." I looked at him, confused. "How am I supposed to do that?" "By listening to me," he said. "By believing me." Before I could respond, he vanished, leaving me alone in the darkness of hell. I woke up in my bed, drenched in sweat. It was just a dream, I told myself. Just a bad dream. But as I got up, I noticed something strange. I was wearing the same dress that I had worn in my dream. I rushed to the bathroom and stared at my reflection. My eyes were wide with fear. I could see the faint outline of Lucifer's lips on my neck, as if he had actually touched me. And then I remembered the last thing he had said to me, "By believing me." Had I believed him? Was I now in hell? I didn't know. And as I looked into my own eyes, I saw the faintest flicker of something evil, something that shouldn't be there. I was scared, but I knew that I had to do something. I had to find Lucifer. I needed answers. I called the number that I had written down from his card. It rang several times before he finally picked up. "Hello?" he said. His voice was the same as I remembered. "Lucifer," I said, my voice trembling. "Are you real?" There was a pause. "What do you mean?" he finally said. "Are you really in hell?" Another pause. "I'm wherever you are," he said softly. "I'm always with you." I hung up the phone, my heart pounding. What did he mean? Was he really with me? I turned to look out the window and saw the faintest glimmer of a smile on the edge of the building opposite mine. It was Lucifer. He was watching me,